reporting as they roll in, but we actually have a bunch of shit to cover. So since we're a few minutes past the hour, we might as well just start and let people file in as they will. So okay, as you all know, the governance forum and snapshot has been popping off lately. So let me pull up all of the different snapshots and forum discussions that are going on, and we'll just kind of run through these as usual for everybody who missed it. I don't, honestly, all the people that are in this call are the people who are usually on top of these things, so I doubt any of you missed it. But first things first, the proposal to build Marionette passed without a single do nothing vote, so that's dope. Here is the proposal for anybody trying to follow along. But yeah, we already kind of touched on Marionette in a lot of detail, I think, on the last call we had. So if you're not familiar with Marionette, just go check out that call. We kind of like walk through the proposal, what our plans are for it, etc. I don't think we have a set timeline for actually, pushing it live, but now that it's passed, we have everything we need to kind of move forward with it. I don't know if there's anything anybody up here wants to add that we didn't already talk about last week or last call.
Yeah, so we were going to launch it for um, Velodrome and Aerodrome. But while the proposal was in forum, a couple other partners saw it, and I think we can have a bigger launch and better launch if we expand it out to a couple other names to start with. So what was audited was the infrastructure itself. It's very easy to just create a new market for it, just like it is for Hidden Hand. So we're just figuring out who's the best launch partner now for it. Yeah, so if named, we were going to do it with Butter, but obviously that Butter unfortunately is no more. So yeah, we're going to keep exploring who the best partner is to launch it with. But you guys, as I'm sure Colton will talk about it now, like kind of new Hidden Hand markets coming out, so I'm sure it'll be an easy fit.
Yeah, we'll touch on all those. And I guess since you just brought it up, we can also cover the Butter thing really quickly. I don't know if it had been canceled on the last call. But yeah, for those of you who are following along, Aura was going to build a new protocol called Butter on top of PancakeSwap on Binance Smart Chain. It has since shut down. I think the Aura team and the PancakeSwap team couldn't exactly come to agreement on like what the future of protocol emissions for PancakeSwap would look like, and as such they thought that Butter would no longer be competitive, and our relationship to them was basically Butter was going to be another key partner for Hidden Hand, much like Aura is today. So yeah, sad to see, but it is what it is. That's how stuff works. I think they were on the home stretch too. It more so sucks for the Aura crew than it does for us. I think mostly because they had put a lot of time and resources into building it and getting audits and all the rest. So that is the Butter update for the most part. So I think we have opened a line with the PancakeSwap team to see if there's any other ways we can collaborate, but we will update you all as that develops.
Yeah, that should be fun. The whatever we come up with, Pancake should be fun. That'll be our first time on BSC. But also just one other thing to add, because I got added in the Aura Discord. Obviously, like people were mad at Aura for not following through on the launch. But there was like a few people who like added me and some other team members, specifically about like Redacted's involvement with it. It was not like Butter is not a Redacted X Aura project. It was all of the works of the Aura team. So I'm sure no one in this chat is confused about that. But just to like re-clarify, like this is not Butter was not a second coin that Redacted was going to launch. This was something of Aura's doing.
Cool. So Butter update out of the way. I guess let's continue with these snapshot votes. So The next one we have that passed after Marionette, I believe, is the Lodestar market on Hidden Hand. So let me share the proposal. They put this proposal on the forum a little while ago, and Lodestar is a money market on Arbitrum. I believe they are implementing, or they have already implemented, I can't remember, a gauge system on top of their money market, and they're looking to have a market on Hidden Hand. So that passed. Not sure if there's anything anybody wants to add about Lodestar up here, but should be good. Okay. Cool. And then outside of Lodestar, we had a market for Prisma Finance launch. And there's a little bit we should probably talk about on this one because I have seen people asking about the Vodium market that launched. So one thing to clarify, I guess these two markets aren't directly competitive. I'm not the best at explaining the difference between the two. It has something to do with the way that convex works and the way that Prisma is locked into convex. So if somebody on stage could explain the difference between the two markets, that'd be great.
Just to clarify, like this is about Prisma, not Lodestar.
Yeah, Prisma.
Yeah. So Vodium will be launching the bribe market for the Prisma that is locked in CVX. So obviously on Vodium now, when a proxy vote for the curve emissions goes up, people use Vodium to direct where Convex should direct their curve vote, right? That's basically what's happening. The same will happen with Prisma. So when Convex puts up another proxy vote for what it should direct its Prisma to do, that will be voted on using Vodium. And then for Hidden Hand, it will be for all the Prisma that's just locked up in general. So we've been talking with Yearn. We talked with Rocket Pool a little bit. We talked with some of the usual partners and some newer faces that will be most likely partnering with us for when it makes sense to bribe Prisma directly. And then if you want to bribe Prisma via Convex, you can do that through Vodium. So it's like two different markets.
Yeah, and I think, so these two markets are not competitive, but there will be times where bribing through Vodium is maybe more efficient than bribing through Hidden Hand, and vice versa. So I think there will be some like ebb and flow on when and where protocols decide to bribe. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's kind of similar to Curve, right? So when sometimes it's more profitable to bribe Curve directly, sometimes it's more profitable to bribe Convex, except in this case, I imagine to be a lot more volatile because the Prisma emissions are way up, the price is a lot more volatile, and there's a lot more liquid lockers for Prisma from the get-go. So like Yearn was saying that they have 20% of the vote. So I don't think Convex is going to be as dominant when it comes to Prisma, but even if they are dominant, right, like it doesn't change what our offering is, which is directing the vote, the Prisma vote. And then obviously with that, like we don't allow Convex to double dip into those rewards by voting for a bribe that is put up on Hidden Hand, right? So it's the same token but two different lockers, right? Like one is just the general Prisma lock, VE Prisma, and then one is CVX Prisma, basically.
Cool. So hopefully that answers that. I know we had a couple of questions. I mean, I think we even had questions on the day we saw the Vodium announcement. So we reached out to the team and double checked to make sure that we were understanding it all correctly. So no need to be concerned. Not directly competing with Vodium here. All right. The next Hidden Hand market that was passed by governance is I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Beethoven. I don't actually know for sure. Beethoven, whatever. The branding is Beethoven, but they are a balancer fork, if I'm not mistaken, built on, what is it, Optimism or Arbitrum?
Friendly fork on Phantom.
Phantom. Yeah, neither Arbitrum or Optimism. So yeah, friendly balancer fork on Phantom. I imagine the market works very similarly to how balancers works. I don't have a ton to add here. Anybody else have anything they want to add?
Yeah. It's just the more the merrier. Like with these kind of agreements, because it's not just like other protocols bribing. It's kind of the like the DEX itself, that's pushing through like actual revenue, its own revenue through its incentives layer. So it's kind of a guarantee of constant bribes and revenue for us, which sometimes is better. So the more of these, the
Yeah, I didn't realize they'd been live since 2021. They've been around way longer than I originally thought. But anyway, it's irrelevant. Okay. I think that is all of the Hidden Hand proposals. Now, as far as Hidden Hand announcements, we had the Premia market go live yesterday. For those of you who missed it, Premia is a decentralized options protocol on Arbitrum, and I will share the announcement with you all there. So yeah, that went live. Make sure you spread the word on the announcement. I believe they have a couple of protocols that are interested in bribing their different options vaults to increase emissions there. I think we might even have a little bit of a strategy we're going to tinker with whenever Dinero is live. There's some things I think we want to explore there. Anything else to touch on? Good. Cool. All right. So that
Who's
is
this for?
This was Premia.
Yeah. This was voted on way back with the launch of Hidden Hand V2. So we've been working with them for it on a while. It's just like they obviously took their time with VX Premium, but hopefully we can get some like the original idea was like obviously other people will come in, but also like self bribes to increase the efficiency of Premium. So hopefully that gets locked in, and we have a similar flywheel to what we had with Balancer.
Cool. So last but not least, on the proposal, just general governance proposal front, the redacted V2 budget proposal V4 is live, which is RIP 49. That is a mouthful on the title there. I don't know if Funky or Sammy, either of you want to take this, but yeah, a little outline would be good.
Just say it's a great name because can't believe it. So yeah, I mean the budget proposal was put into Commonwealth a few days ago. It's very similar to the last budget proposal. The budget amount is the same with allowance for growth. The headline numbers are like 1.2 million over 6 months. Over the last 6 months, we're about $70,000 under budget for DAO costs, excluding audits, and then our audit budget was about 70,000 below. And we've been able to, these amounts have allowed us to expand existing products, including Hidden Hand V2, also develop Pirex markets as well, but also, I guess most importantly, work on the shipping of Dinero, including PXETH, which is currently on testnet. So yeah, 2 days of voting, and yeah, let us know what you think through the voting.
So yeah, please make sure to vote on this one. Super important. I mean, just as honestly, every proposal is extremely important, and we're excited that you guys are actually super involved in voting on all these things. So make sure to check it out. If you read the last one, like Funky said, it's pretty much exactly the same. We also, I know Funky's been on top of posting the monthly sort of updates on spending and stuff like that. So I know a few of you follow that really closely, so keep us accountable. We appreciate it. And yeah, anything, Sammy, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add on this section, but all good? Cool.
No, sorry, I was in the Premier Discord sending the first bribe. Yeah, I think I'm in.
Cool. All right, so moving on to more announcements. I mean, Jesus, we had so many announcements since the last since the last community call. I'm just trying to get through all these without forgetting something. So the next thing that we announced was the Secure Staking Alliance, or our participation in the Secure Staking Alliance that's spearheaded by the Cubist folks. There are quite a few teams involved in this whole thing. I don't know all of them off of the top of my head, but I will share the link for those who want to explore it. I think, you know, a big part of this is just being part of a group that is looking to push forward sort of standards and best practices for the staking and restaking side of the industry, especially as far as, you know, validator infrastructure goes. This is kind of one of those like boomer suit and tie things, but it's cool for us to be a part of. I believe like Never is kind of on the advisor board thing as well. Kind of fancy, but yeah, I just wanted to share that with you all. It's kind of a cool thing. I think it'll help whenever we go into the sort of launch of Pirex ETH and Dinero to some of these like funds and some of these boomer types who like to see this type of stuff to, you know, build trust. So good for us to be a part of. Good for us to be in that network. Never, anything you want to add?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, they've been very helpful for us. We're one of the earliest kind of adopters of their kind of security modules. Probably it's the best in class. One of the smartest people we've seen in crypto, especially on the security side of things. So yeah, I mean, boomers are boomers, but boomers are really good at security. So it's just good to be.
Yeah, we rock with Cubist. So shout out to them. So next on the set of announcements, I think both are sort of Pirex related. The first one is, if you have been a Pirex Convex user for a while, you are most likely eligible for a little bit of a CVX Prisma airdrop. And this applies to both PX CVX users and you CVX users. So if you're using Llama Air Force, this also applies to you. The guys at Llama Air Force have kindly put together a sort of interface for checking your eligibility and claiming your airdrop. So if you're somebody who's been using for a while and you were here whenever it was like a vote that Prisma put up on Convex a while ago, but if you were a user of Pirex Convex during that time, you should be eligible. So I think you have until January, the first week of January, to claim that airdrop, or I think it will be claimed and like redistributed to other people in the UCVX Pounder, if I'm not mistaken. So make sure to be on top of that if you are a user. Next thing on the Pirex announcements list is the partnership with TimeSwap. So TimeSwap has added APXGMX as collateral onto their platform. They're actually messaging us this morning, and I know Samuel was talking to them and shared some of that conversation in the Discord. But there's actually an opportunity to sort of loop your APXGMX a few times to generate some pretty high APR. Obviously, if you're using leverage, be careful. But some of the math here is, it looks like the current APXGMX yield is around 18.65%. If you do like a 4x loop, borrowing GMX, using APXGMX and loop a few times, you can generate up to 54% APR. So if there are any of you on the more degenerate side of things, make sure to try it out. They're a good partner. They made the sort of integration process really smooth. So anything anybody has to add there about past Pirex stuff? Are we good? Cool. Well, I think that is most of the announcements. We breezed through all of those, so we can kind of like give some time for maybe any questions that people have, and we can also give a little bit of a Pirex ETH update if we have one.
Yeah, I guess we can do a Pirex ETH update.
Yeah.
So for the total before launch, we're going through 3 audits. First one was done. Second one is closing in on this week. And ththird one should be done next 1 or 2 weeks. That one was concerning backend and node infrastructure. That was on my spare bit. We had a sole audit done for the contracts, and then we already finished like a week or 2 ago for the first one through spare bit as well. So this is kind of like the last hurdle before we deem it quite safe enough to like post like a lot of TBI. So yeah.
Sick. So on the home stretch for Pyrex ETH. What is it? Can we get the validators to sync, or is that a non-issue? 111 Arc asks.
I mean, you need to sync your validator here. I'm not sure I understand the question. Yeah, they're all synced. Yeah.
At least we hope they are. Cool. So, I mean, yeah, I don't have a ton of other stuff to add here, so we can pause for any questions people have. I know we have a little bit of a light crowd today, so maybe everybody is ready to start their weekend. I'm sure they are, but yeah, if there's anything people have to ask, please do. Sammy, Never, Funky, if there's anything else I did not touch on, feel free to do it now. Otherwise, we can close up shop a little early today.
No, nothing urgent to my end. Colton joke.
No chance. I'm immune to the joke, and I don't know if we have anybody new who hasn't told a joke, who's not in or who's in the call. Has anybody not told a joke that joined recently? Thor hasn't told a joke.
Thor hasn't yet.
I mean, Rafa, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me look into this. Because if there are people that haven't told a joke, then that's a little bit problematic, and we'll need to figure out what's going on there. Maybe we'll have some downward adjustments in the budget proposal if they don't come on and tell a joke. We'll just threaten them. Okay, we actually do have a couple of questions that we could touch on before we wrap this thing up. So, Specs asks, so why again? It seems like we don't compete with Vodium. I guess you're asking why we don't compete with Vodium. Just making sure I understand the question.
I mean, basically, it's very difficult to compete. Let's say on a CVX product when it's basically like they're basically around the same people who are building Vodium and Compass. So it doesn't really make sense to compete. They don't have competitive advantage. So when you're like getting into a business, like you really need to look at that. So like maybe we don't compete on the convex side of things, but we do compete. Let's say I think we're going to start looking with CVX with VE Prisma to kind of compete at like the base layer one, because especially as convex rewards kind of their missions end and they're kind of reaching their tail end. A lot of the supply of these governance tokens were going to be off convex and actually just like in other LSDs or whatever. So it makes sense to centralize everything else into one bucket and actually have a market for everybody else, which would be I would say, a larger market for these new governance tokens. So it just makes more business sense.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where, convex sort of entrenched Vodium and vice versa. So it's a little bit hard for us to try to go right at their necks. Perhaps can you elaborate more on the new builder on the team? He's doing business development. What can we expect from him? I think you're talking about Thor, who made the Twitter announcement. Is that who you're talking about? Yeah. Yeah, Thor's doing BD, super focused on Dinero stuff. I mean, that's mostly what you can expect. A lot of the BD team, pretty much all of the BD team is super focused on Pyrex ETH and then going into Dinero. So they're full steam ahead on that.
Yeah, we did a bit of I won't say revamp. We just made some changes to the BD team, including like you guys saw Thor. There's also John Marco, who you guys met before, or last community call. There's a few people that have joined the team that are specifically focused on like BD specifically, and yeah, like I'm sure you guys, everyone here can sort of piece together what that is for, right? Like we have a launch coming up, the biggest launch we've ever done coming up, and want to make sure that we have a ton of integrations and partnerships lined up for when that goes live and when we get oracles live and all of that sort of fun stuff. So we definitely need more. Not anymore, but we did definitely need more hands on deck there, and then that's the reason for bringing them on. But they've been going really good. I think it's like the best BD team I've ever worked with. So, super proud of all those guys.
Yeah, they are locked the fuck in as of late. So Shout out to the BD guys, they're killing it. Another question we have is, Sammy, how's your eigenlayer application thing going?
It's going good. It's actually more focused on like just like some of the. So Eigenlayer has like a bunch of like restaking LSDs that they're like collabing with and partnering with, and I want to make sure that like PXETH is like over indexed on all of those restaking plays, just because of like the power that our our LSD has over others, especially when it comes down to things like withdrawals and just overall like composability. So it's more focused on like some of the restaking LSD stuff that like Eigenlayer is going to push soon than it is on like Eigenlayer itself, because I already touched on this before, right? Like I don't think it makes sense to like have the added risk of like restaking to our LSD, when I know that like, you know, if people want to take on that risk, then they can just put the PXE somewhere else, like a restaking one or something, right? And then we can still tap into that yield without having to make our users exposed to it, right? So, yeah.
Sean asks, does being part of the Secure Staking Alliance require any work on Redacted's part? What is the extent of that engagement? No, not really. It's not a work engagement per se. It's more of like a think tank. So there's a lot of these throughout the space that are centered around like stable coins. There's some that are centered around real world assets, for example. There's some centered around the legal side of DAOs. There's all kinds of these. It's basically where a bunch of like-minded organizations just get together, share standards and practices, and kind of push that section of the space forward. So it doesn't really require any work on our part. It's more of just a thing to participate in, so we can all collaborate together and work towards, you know, building standards and the like. So yeah, I recommend checking out the website. You kind of see what the mission is and what the goals are. How many BD teams have you worked with? I think we've all worked with like quite a few BD teams over the course of our careers, and this one's pretty good. So, somebody asked, wait, no restaking PXETH? ?
Okay, maybe I didn't answer that properly. So what I was saying is that yes, PXE will be a part of the PXE of the restaking narrative. It just won't be, the risks that are associated with restaking do not justify the added yield for our LSD, right? So the ETH that is in our LSD will not be getting restaked, right? But the way Eigenlayer works in general is that it's the LSDs themselves that are getting restaked, right? So if we have 100% of the ETH in our system is in PXETH, right? That could mean that someone could launch a restaking LSD, right? Whatever, I don't know what the hottest one is. There's a few of them that are popping up, but like someone can launch a restaking LSD and they could have 10% of the PXETH supply in their restaking LSD. That is how Eigenlayer works, right? So the restaking doesn't happen with the LSD itself. The LSD is just the base layer, right? And then the people building the restaking applications are using LSDs like PXETH to power that restaking. Hopefully that makes more sense. Right, like if you go on Eigenlayer, you're not putting in. If you go on the Eigenlayer app right now, you're not putting in pure ETH. You're putting in PXETH or Steth or FraxETH or any of these other ones, right? So it's just a liquidity sink for us to tap into, rather than us competing over ETH with the restaking projects or Eigenlayer or something, right? The ETH has to come through LSD like us before it gets to Eigenlayer.
Cool. And another question. So an individual can choose to restake their PXETH, but Redacted will not restake the ETH that people put into PXETH? ?
Yeah, exactly. So when someone collaborates with Eigenlayer, right? So Cello partnered with Eigenlayer, right? And what Cello said is, okay, you know, we'll use ETH as ours. We're gonna become an L2, and we're gonna settle on ETH, just like Arbitrum and Optimism. And then Cello says, actually, we're gonna take it a step further. We're gonna partner with Eigenlayer, so that the people that are like being a sequencer on Cello, like the ones that are just like approving the transactions and creating the bundles themselves, which eventually settle on Ethereum, those people, to add the added benefit of security for them, are going to be have their own validator system using eigenlayer, right? So the way it'll work for Celo is, let's say PXETH becomes a part of eigenlayer, and PXETH becomes one of the main restaking tokens. What that would mean is that PXETH is validating Celo's transactions, right? Our underlying ETH is validating ETH, and then people are using the PXETH receipt token to validate Celo transactions. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah. Okay. I think people get it.
Yeah. We have a little bit of a restaking seminar going on. The collaboration with Mantle has resumed. ? I don't know if I understand that question.
Mantle itself actually has resumed. I don't know if anyone said that in the Discord. Conversations have picked back up through a new introduction, and that is thanks to the Polygon team, surprisingly enough. With that comes from us talking with a whole bunch of L1s and L2s just on a general BD push. You'd be very surprised with the amount of L1s and L2s we've been talking to. And Mantle is just now, I think when the Mantle proposal went up, it's like, oh, cool, like Redacted's going to expand to a new L2. But when we share what our bridging solution is for PXETH and how we've not only minimized risk with bridging, but also put ourselves in a position where we can literally go to any chain, you'll see like all the L1s and L2s that we'll start expanding to and partnering with and collaborating with and getting grants from and all that sort of fun stuff. So when PXETH does go live in the next whatever, we'll get the BD guys to come on, and after we share like what the multi-chain strategy is and give a look into like how we're partnering with some of the L1s and L2s, and also like how that collaboration is done using our bridging solution.
Cool. So hopefully that answers your question as well, Joker Prong. Can you elaborate a bit on the bridging solution?
Do you want to talk about it, ND?
Yeah. So we've been working with the Connects guys. Basically, we are aggregating all the bridges into one central smart contract that basically the team can delegate, like let's say minting rights to cross chain to a bridge. So then we have like active kind of risk management there. So we're not just like letting any bridge like basically mint PXETH on different chains, and it's kind of an opt-in for the users. So users have to manage their own risk. So at least our protocol, like the main level, does not get affected. This way, one token and one token only. There's not going to be any PXETH A, PXETH B. It's all going to be PXETH. On like Arbitrum, let's say if you're going there, and you can basically use any bridge of your choice, and it will always mint the one token. So we'll put this in our UI. It should be through like our interface. It should be very easy to go to any chain you want. So no one would have to look for. Yeah.
So just to give like a high level overview of how it works, the issue is that with layer 0 specifically, right? You guys are aware we're doing layer 0. It's on the website. The issue with making our token an OFT, when we talk to people and we think about how we're going to get to $1 billion in TVL, right? Like Never always says, we would have to give layer 0 infinite mint and burn privileges, right? That's just how the system works. If the token wasn't OFT, and right now all the OFTs you guys are using, if God forbid something was to happen with layer 0, someone could mint 10 trillion, billion, quadrillion tokens of whatever is an OFT. The way it'll work for us is we will actually work with not only layer 0, but layer 0, Chainlink, CCIP, Axelar, all the bridging solutions, whatever, right? And allow people to use our bridging solution. So people can someone can take their PXETH that's on mainnet, and they can go to PXETH on Optimism using our bridge, using layer 0, and still receive what we'll call like cross-chain PXETH on Optimism, But someone could also use Axelar to go from Ethereum to Optimism and still get the exact same token on that chain. And then what we have by creating that aggregator unified version is a system where none of these bridges can really like be exploited, and then put us in a position where like, oh shit, like the whole system just got exploited because of the bridge, right? So we have mint rate limits and all sorts of protections created on our own in-house wrapper, that not only makes the liquidity more composable and unified into one token, but also like make sure that like we can't get screwed by any bridge, and also make sure that like you can use any bridge, whatever bridge you feel comfortable with, to get to whatever chain you want, right? There's a couple other things, but like I think they have to go through governance first. So that's like a high level overview of how we're thinking of like bridging and how we're mitigating some risks there.
Cool. Any other questions? It looks like we are good to go. So we're about 40 minutes in. Thank you all for coming to hang out. And yeah, we'll see you all in a couple of weeks. Make sure to vote on things that are live on Snapshot. Budget proposals live right now. Might be a few more things live in the coming days. So go vote. Do your duty as a citizen. And yeah, we'll see you all next time. Peace.